Yeah, so you could get a varying amount of people calling you in relation to a funeral in the initial stages. So it could be that you've got a funeral plan with a family or with a gentleman that's just died. We'll look at a gentleman. And recently we had a call from the wife saying that her husband was terminally ill, wasn't going to last very long. And so I rang the home and let them know that, we're the funeral directors, and they can ring us at any time, and we will bring this gentleman into our care, whether it's 2 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, or anywhere in between. So that's a nursing home. We would literally go out, bring the person into our care, and then they would go to our commercial unit. Now, nursing homes are fairly straightforward, because it's almost like a business premises. Then the other ones that we bring into our care could be at hospital, and again, it's a business premises, and so it's fairly straightforward. Always the tricky ones are when they're in their own home, which is a wonderful place to die, in your own home. Fantastic, that's the best place to die. But it becomes a challenge if they're upstairs. It becomes a challenge if they've got cobblestones on their driveway. Because naturally you've got to bring your stretcher into their property, and it depends upon where they are as to what stretcher you might use. If they're upstairs, you can't use a big stretcher that the legs snap out when you take it out, although that's the ideal one to use most of the time. So it just depends on where they are, and of course the approach is different. When you're dealing with professionals, you're dealing with business premises like nursing homes or the mortuary department, it's just red tape and paperwork. When you're dealing with someone and you're going to their home and their father or their mother has just died, and you've got to, sometimes the family will want to be there when you're placing the person into a body bag and then putting them onto your trolley. Everything has to be done in a respectful, delicate manner, and your communication skills are utmost important, because you need to tell them everything you're going to do before you do it, and then as you're doing it you need to tell them again, no, nothing to worry about, we're just putting John or Fred or whoever the person is, you now know their name, into the body bag, and he's going to be safe with us. Nothing to worry about. And remember, when we've gone, you can ring me 24/7, right up until after the funeral. So that's a completely different approach, and it's got to be dealt with in a nice way. And remember, when you've brought the person into your care, you've got to go back and see that family, because you need to talk through and go through all the paperwork. So that's on your first visit. Then when you're dealing with a sudden death, okay, so these other deaths are natural deaths, but if you're dealing with a sudden death where someone suddenly dies, and of course the coroner's involved. If someone suddenly dies and no one was expecting it, the next of kin need to phone the police. The police come out, and at that time they will then call the funeral directors, and the funeral director will be instructed by the coroner to take that person to the nearest mortuary, and there may have to be a post-mortem, so there'll be a delay of about 5 to 7 days. So that's, if it's a sudden death, that's a completely different kettle of fish. You're now not working for your own firm, you're working for the coroner. So again, you can't leave your business card, nothing like that. All you can do is take the person away as you're working for the coroner, and the family have to deal with the coroner's office.